SlapViper.
Sacrifice, strength, dedication, determination, spirit. These are all the basis of what makes a wrestler great. A combination of all these characteristics and a legend is forged in a business of many people who were forgotten. Setbacks and tragedies strike, leading to future legends simply being what ifs. Some are held down by fate, others choose to defy the laws of human nature to take their throne, and no one can stop them. There's one person who never allowed life to stop her. From a broken neck to the queen of her throne. When life told her to stay down, she couldn't allow herself to become a what if. The woman who became the greatest professional wrestler ever, AKIRA HOKUTO. Quick disclaimer, this video will get extremely emotional. Sako Sasaki, maiden name Hisako Uno, more well known by her ring name AKIRA HOKUTO, became a wrestler due to the popularity of Crush Gals. She was such a big pro wrestling fan that she even started the Bull Nakano fan club, which is very funny to think about, knowing about the wars those two have had together, but we'll circle back to that later on. Uno debuted shortly before her 18th birthday under her real name and became an instant standout amongst AJW fans, winning the Rookie of the Year in 1985, and in 1986 won the AJW Junior Championship and was in the AJW Match of the Year with Yukari Omari to take on Chigusa and Yumika Hoda in the 1986 AJW Tag League Tournament Finals. In 1987, however, Uno and Miko Hoda captured the AJW Tag Team Championships against the Glamour Girls, but would only hold the belts for 12 days, losing the belts to Red Typhoons in the now infamous Broken Neck match. The first fall saw Uno take a tombstone pile driver off of the second rope, and in the process breaking her neck. Her first major injury. Any normal wrestler would have simply called off the match, but out of resilience or stubbornness, or maybe a combination of both, Uno kept fighting, having to hold her head in place as her neck was physically unable to support her head. This match shortened her career significantly, but also in turn gave us the greatest wrestlers to ever exist, as Uno was credited for her toughness. Uno returned a year later, and during this time changed her ring name to AKIRA HOKUTO in tribute to Akira Maeda. In 1990, she was scheduled to compete and win in the 1990 Japan Grand Prix, but tragedy struck again as a dive to the outside onto Manami Toyota broke her knee as it collided with the metal guardrail. It's very hard to watch Hokuto scream in agony as she tries to force herself to stand up to continue the match when even she knows her right knee completely shattered. This pulled her out of the tournament, of course. She returned later in the year. She slowly transformed into the wrestler you know now, with the long blonde hair, the flashier gear, the makeup. Between 1990 and 1992, she was still riddled with injuries, but continued to win championships and compete in legendary matches with the likes of Aja Kong, Bison Kimura, Miko Hoda, Manami Toyota, and Bull Nakano, just to name a few. She also found herself teaming with Ima Shimoda and Etsuko Nitta, mainly between 1992 and 1993, as LCO. Of course, those two were the main tag team LCO, but she also joined in a bit for it to create this little faction after an excursion in Mexico, as the name translated to, and I quote, the Oriental Bitches. That was their actual name. Becoming an iconic faction, even if Hokuto wasn't long for the faction, and Mita and Nima found greater success as just those two as the tag team. In 1993, it proved to be a standout year for Hokuto, which gave us possibly the greatest rivalry and greatest sets of matches ever. AKIRA Hokuto versus Shinobu and Dori. These two women beat the living shit out of each other in possibly the greatest pro wrestling match ever. This match was pure hatred and determination by both of them. Neither could let the other one win, both seen as extremely tough and brutal by both sides. I mean, with Shinobu, of course, like, she had like this shoot fighting background. She's been known to just brutalize people. But Hokuto, the woman you can't break. So who was gonna give in that? This match, I feel as if, was a synonym for Hokuto's career in life as a whole. Life tried to put her down. Life, in this case, being Shinobu. Life tried to break her physically and mentally. But Hokuto refused to be broken down and came out the winner, even if it's just barely. 9 days later, she lost in a tag match to Shinobu, but the momentum from her entire 1993 carried her to winning the 1993 Japan Grand Prix, where the winner earned a WWWA title match. But tragedy struck again. Hokuto injures her leg in August, and her title match is in 2 months. Hokuto suggests making the match non-title to protect the prestige of the championship if she wasn't able to perform to the best of her ability. She ended up losing to Aja Kong in that match, and in December that year had another match with Shinobu Kandori, which was so powerful. And you probably are asking how powerful the match was. It made Aja Kong cry. Possibly the toughest wrestler ever was brought to tears as Shinobu was just beating the absolute dog shit out of Hokuto, and Shinobu won that match. But it's such a beautiful match and such a beautiful rivalry with the two. Between 1993 and 1995, Hokuto also worked in Mexico under the ring name Rina Jabuki. While wearing a mask, she worked and moved to Mexico due to her marriage with wrestler Mascara Magica 2, where she saw great success over there too, winning the CMLL Women's Championship, where she held onto it for over 800 days. In 1994, at the Big Egg V-Top tournament, Hokuto defeated Combat Toyota, Eagle Sawai, and Aja Kong to win the tournament at this historic show that drew over 42,000 fans to the Tokyo Dome and had many different promotions in this for a 10-hour plus show. Later in 1994, it proved to be a big change to Hokuto's life. She had split up with her old husband and went to the New Japan Pro Wrestling WCW Super Show Collision in Korea. There she met her eventual husband, Shinsuke Sasaki, and they got very acquainted with each other quite early on, to say the least, as they proceed to wake up an entire hotel room. And it got so bad that the cops had to be called due to how much noise they were making. You can guess what they were doing in that hotel room. 4 months later, Sasaki proposed to her. And in 1995, Hokuto had one of her last big singles matches in AJW as she fought Manami Toyota at Destiny Climax in one of the greatest pro wrestling matches ever. She then made her official debut with WCW. She was managed by Sonny Ono. In 1996, due to the partnership with Gia and WCW, Hokuto competed in both companies, where she found success both throughout the rest of her career, winning a tournament to crown the first ever WCW Women's Champion and the AAA Tag Team Championships with Mayumi Ozaki, and was in Nostradamus and the splitter group of that faction. In that WCW tournament, she got into some hot water with CMLL after competing under her Rina Jabuki persona, as WCW was out of women for the tournament, but also later in that tournament competed as AKIRA Hokuto, resulting in her being stripped of the CMLL Women's Championship. From 1997 to 2002, Hokuto spent the rest of her main career mainly working in Gia. She had notable matches with the likes of Meiko Satomura and Crush Gals. 2002, she had her retirement match where she wrestled with a broken rib, but like the fighter she is, she never gave up and won that match. She shared moments with many of her colleagues, hugs and flowers and whatnot, even slapping some as a form of endearment. However, she wrestled 7 more matches after this, 2 most notable being teaming with the Kensuke family and Kenshin in an elimination match in All Japan Pro Wrestling, and her final match at Kensuke Sasaki's 20th year anniversary in 2006, where she participated in a battle royale. With everything being said, she now lives a pretty basic life. She takes care of her dog on Instagram and her blog. She just looks like a sweet older lady, but we all know the badass she is under that sweet exterior. Many wrestlers have been inspired by Hokuto's fighting spirit, like Julia and Mercedes Moné, who would go on to become megastars in their own right. Hokuto, and I believe the greatest, for many reasons. Of course, her style is vicious and brutal, but her selling, beautiful. She made you believe in every strike, every slam, every time she got offense in, and every time she got knocked down. She made you fear for her opponent's life and sometimes her own. People argue who's the greatest, and while many wrestlers have a strong case, and yes, a lot of wrestlers have endured horrible injuries, Hokuto, for the majority of her career, was hurt. And yes, you can say that about many other wrestlers as well, but a lot of those other wrestlers, they showed signs of slowing down the ring and did slow down the ring. Hokuto, she never slowed down. Despite her body screaming in agony, she became even grittier after her neck break and knee injury. Life told her to stay down. She wouldn't allow herself to stay down. She was a badass in every sense of the word. Blood, sweat, and tears, she overcame every obstacle in her path, and that inspires me. For people who don't know, I have autism, and I have anxiety and depression, and sometimes life is just very hard to get through. You just feel tired, feel broken, you just want to stay down. But then I look at someone like AKIRA Hokuto, a woman who was never meant to succeed, did succeed. Her body was torn to shreds. She kept fighting, became an all-time legend because she couldn't quit. Someone like her inspires me to keep going, because if she can become the greatest wrestler of all time, the broken body, I can get through this day, next day, and then the next day. I can only imagine her emotions after getting another serious injury, especially when some of them pile back to back. She never let that impact her work. She was on a mission. AKIRA Hokuto was held down by life, but she pushed through, inspired me, and many other people due to her resilience and toughness. And with that, and everything I talked about, I can confidently say, and hopefully convince you, AKIRA Hokuto is the greatest wrestler ever. Thank you all so much for watching. Buy W and use SlapViperLLC at checkout for 10% off your W order. Donate to my coffee below if you want. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. This is Quincy of SlapViperLLC, and I'll talk to you all later. Take care.